2.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Knowledge drop. Oh,
Hi.
I like it. That's pretty good.
Oh, you didn't see nothing yet. Check this out. This is what I was doing through Brian's show last night. Oh, what'd you say? Paradiddle?
I love it
What was that?
so
Did you say
much.
Paradiddle?
That's
I love
pretty
it
funny.
so much.
I saw that last night.
Everybody, take
Oh
a drink.
my
It's
God.
Paradiddles.
That's like way doper than anything we ever did with the TriCaster.
Had you figure
I
out
like
the
Samuel
playlist?
L. Jackson, but that was like DOS stuff compared to freaking Windows 95 over here. Oh my God, I love it, Robbie.
What do you think it was?
It's tacos.
No.
It's pizza.
No.
It's brown rice.
It is brown rice, everybody. Brown rice.
Because it kind of sounds like Brian.
'Cause
Brown
it's-
rice.
Exactly.
Brown rice.
Brown
That's-
rice, right.
He takes it as his. He imprinted upon it early. He's like brown.
I had, like,
Yeah,
stuff like-
I'm brown.
Now that was a compelling story. Like stuff like
Brian.
Now that.
I'm
that was a
Brian
compelling story.
Burwell. Call me Dog
My name
Boy.
is Dog Boy Burwell.
my name is the Burr.
The Burr.
The Burr.
It's cold in here.
So happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yes, happy Valentine's
Will
Day.
you all be my Valentine?
Yeah, I need a
I
I'll be
Valentine.
yours.
suppose.
I need a Valentine.
I should have shaved before Valentine's Day. Sorry.
So I'm thinking maybe just nothing but Lady of the Tramp music during today's stream.
Okay.
No.
Let me be the classical love doctor here for a minute.
Or I could go on a date on in Grand Theft. See how that goes.
Nice. Hey, I
So-
like
so
your
like, yeah.
micro control room there. That's pretty slick,
Like
bro.
that? Yeah.
All right.
I don't hate it. That's nice.
So I can run the whole stream from here now.
Yeah.
The best of Giuseppe Verdi. If this doesn't say love to you, well, maybe not this.
Does it?
Maybe not this piece.
I don't think I'm
Yeah.
getting them through here.
You might not be. It's really loud on my speaker, so I turned it way down. hear it
Let
now?
me
Is it
check
in there?
that. I don't think so,
I don't
but
think
I
it is,
could be
but-
wrong. Let me check.
This is a
It's a
mixer
double check.
turned
Double
down.
check.
No, he seems to be on.
Oh.
I just don't see anything coming from there.
I can hear it in my own headphone monitor. It's 5 and 6.
What is this?
Oh, there.
you
Now I'm
hear it?
seeing it.
I got you.
Now I'm seeing it. There we go.
All right. And we are dinging and donging.
We're dinging and we're donging.
Hello.
I picked this not because it was light and romantic, but because it's basically sex in music form. It's so dramatic and good. That's what love is. It's not like any of the sweet, sappy stuff.
Update.
It's got that in between the serious stuff, but it's got the serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's flowing moments and tender
Bit
caresses.
riot.
of
That
your
was
ear holes.
another knowledge drop.
Hello, people.
I love it so much.
Wow, we got a bunch of new folk.
Oh,
Nice.
Dewey,
Welcome.
welcome to our show. We're having a good day today. We're all in love with music.
Oh
We're all in
boy.
love with the we're all in love with the future.
The future
We
of.
have a lot of good work to do today,
I'm feeling it.
Right, Dad, right.
both on the love and the future fronts.
I love the future.
We don't fear it, so we're gonna come up with one where it's actually kind of positive in the end. Maybe if
Mhm.
we take it and run with it.
We'll see.
It's
Nobody-
a possible future that's the whatever the opposite of it. Like you can't call it utopian because it isn't a utopia at first. A reverse like a total recallification of something where they end up terraforming what they got to terraform. You know,
Yeah.
they end up back on the ground all together in a city somewhere.
Yeah.
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 Tell
Hmm.
him.
You tell him, Steve Dave.
I got a spiritual challenge for you.
What's up?
I wanna, as base as possible, black out these things, so I know like, oh, these are the 7 big beats, but the challenge is without
Right.
feeling spoilerific.
I still have Channel 9, television update. Like, we gotta build a news report over that, but I was gonna put that just to remind myself of the scope of the actual Earth, so that I'm somewhat more humbled in dealing with the grandiosity of the story,
I see.
in breaking it apart into, like, actual work that we gotta do.
Yeah.
In other words, so I won't let, like, some kind of delusion of beyond scope grandeur
Beyond scope.
get me to ask for too many asks in making this thing.
You know, that's the thing.
That's somebody who's worked with a bunch of really bitter S and DOBs and Bs.
Wow.
You know, I got to be inclusive. Has to, you know, we've all had a lot of outside, like, hanging out with the smoking crowd talks, you know? And I got to
Well-
not be the source of that by asking the impossible of $1 million budget project for, you know, what we got to work with. But we got more than $1 million in talent here. We got at least 9.8 trillion last time I checked.
I mean, it's growing. Hello, Savoka.
What?
Hey,
It's
what's
going
up?
good. Thank you for joining the stream today. As you can see, I've chat in this handy little
The internet
thing
has,
here.
has caused rampant inflation of currency in this case. So,
That's fair. So we can still only get like a couple lives of red anyway.
but it makes it easy to buy coin as well.
Yes.
In the form of just doing whatever, whenever, because you can get it out there. Like, it's not the people you're buying, but they have currency too, and it's all like it's there for us. And we've been working with our own and each other's for quite a while now.
And there's so
So-
few things stopping you, you know?
Right. So we're ready to break these down into plot points and actually get this thing into a job that hopefully won't freaking kill anyone or make anyone hate their job, basically.
This
I don't
is
ever want to hate my job again or feel resentment for it. I haven't on the people that I'm working with. Like, I've never felt that way with them. It's always a positive experience. But, like, I want to make sure that I can create a thing where it has the same kind of feel. Where it just feels like we're not really killing each other or ourselves over the whole thing, but we're still getting crap tons done because it's healthy instead of, like, just passionate at the expense of, you know,
human lives.
human lives. Right. That doesn't mean it needs, like, explicit structure, because we can take things at a level where a lot of people would need that spec and just run with it. But I want to get as detailed as possible before, like, handing it down the line and saying, hey, make this thing.
Right.
You know, so you're not just sitting there for like a year making like the one type of thing that you would have had to anyway, but I guess you front loaded that amount of robot arm effort.
Well, that was the thing, is that was the stuff that I was sure we can make that we were going to use.
Exactly. It was a known quantity that it was the first thing we could use to, like, sort of air compressor bootstrap our diesel engine.
hmm
Oh, there you go. I watched those videos on YouTube.
So I see you have you know, in branches of invisible screen.
Yeah.
We have chapters. Maybe we should just start in terms of.
Should I put the screen up? Do I want to ruin this yet?
No, I think if
Let's just
if
have
at
a
all
show on
possible,
to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll write this
I'll do it.
down, you know, and we can start, you know, that process.
Well, let's talk about each paragraph. Let's just go to the first chapter today,
Okay.
and I'll show you the rest of them and how they all work out. But
How many chapters do we have? Let's start with that.
we have 6 chapters, an intro and an outro. So that's
Okay.
the 7th. Each intro and outro is more or less a half chapter in the saga.
So it's like 7-ish chapters.
Yep.
Okay.
That allows us to have, like, it's like splitting your last stereo pair into 2 mono inputs for bass and guitar or whatever, like hacker trick. Like, you could just use a couple of, like, mono mics in there to get double your channels. That's what we're doing project-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of seeing this, like, the way I'm using this mind map thing is sort of like Reactor, but for ideas and plans. So that everything has an input and an output. Everything's a category, and then it goes into needs and sort of how do you make that happen instead of just talking about what it is. Like, what are we actually going to make in Max or Maya or whatever we end up using,
Mm-hmm.
and then ultimately an Unreal in people's visors that actually they see and hear.
Right.
So those are actual work items that we can assign, but only with the knowledge that people can see the entire thought process that went into it, so that they can, like, totally know exactly what wavelength they need to be on
Mm.
in order to match with that. Even if it's go crazy here, they know how to go crazy because they're all really smart and talented and adaptable, but they need to know what your vision is before they can latch onto it. That happens naturally over the course of, like, a game project when
Mhm.
there's strangers working together. But these are our friends. We already know what makes our contract artists and our team click. And so we can make stuff that makes us laugh and cry and all that stuff that we would like and go damn about, you know?
So
Hopefully without getting too much like pushback on ideas because they're well developed and well supported, you know?
I mean, at any rate, like, Is there a possibility that we can can you share a screen of yours out and just show like a blank mind node kind of project to show people what you're working with, maybe?
Yeah,
Because you've been talking about the software
that's
a
a
lot.
good idea, Ben.
You know what's funny
I'm
is
glad
that
you had it.
here at MintPotion, I learned how to interview people really well. And
NuRen, the New Renaissance. I'm gonna rename it so that I can name it something else. I'm gonna get my screen up in a second, guys.
sure.
I just have action news going right now because it's just cool. I found that loop on stock footage site that we have a membership at. It's like freaking.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, dude. There's crazy good stock footage on there. A lot of stuff. That's where I got all my flags and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They have everything. They have tens of thousands of clips. You can just download. A 5-second loop or something. It's like, oh, it's water. Cool. All right, I could need that. That's thunder, and lightning, storm and drang, if you will. All right, let's go. Outline. I'll start a new one. Oh, there you go. What's it gonna look like? Suspense.
Mind map.
It starts small though. It starts as a single little bubble.
Right.
It's not scary.
It's like
there it is.
blueprints.
Yeah, look. Just
Except for
little
notes.
cuddle up to it and just.
So how do we
you
how
go.
do I display that to the stream?
I'm gonna turn off action news over here.
Word.
Sorry if I seem slow moving today, guys. Valentine's Day, of course. It rains and my joints turn into a nightmarish bog of Russian logs.
That
And
rhymes.
That's where I'm at
Okay.
right now. I'm like, F you, weather. Everyone's like, I love it when it rains. It's so infrequent out here. I'm like, I hope it's never. I hope it's a drought forever. So I don't ever have to, like, wake up like, oh no. Like, it rained. The pressure is weird. It's like you're landing in a plane if you get the sinus thing, but it's everywhere. Screw the rain. I hope it's a drought forever. No, I don't. I don't want crops to die. Falloutification. All right, this is taking forever to respond and to say, there we go, I got it up. All right, transition. There, I should be live. Yeah, mind map.
Looks that way, yes.
I'm using MindNode 5, which I got on the App Store on the Mac and on the iOS devices. So you buy it once, use anywhere on the mobile stuff, but it's a separate product on the Mac. Whatever. I don't care if it's not cross-buy. It's worth paying for twice. It's worth paying for 1,000 times, which I might do if we ever end up as a big company.
Mm.
It's the best way to brainstorm. It's like combines the best parts of Trello, like having little bulletin index cards everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
with the best parts of Reactor of all things, of modular synth programming, like where you have wires going into stuff.
Yeah, it kind of looks like
You have multiple wires going into stuff,
like numbers or some kind of other built-in
Yeah.
Mac presentation app type of thing.
Lots of stuff has mind mapping utility. It's not a new idea. It's not like, whoa, this app is the first ever to do this, but it's like the nicest, cleanest interface I've ever found for
So yeah,
changing stuff or adding stuff.
what does it do? How does it
So,
work? What you got? It
Besides
says
being
drag plus.
non-paid, I paid them to advertise their software. That's how you know it's good. All right, mind map. So we start with the mind map. So let's start with chapter 1. I closed the other project, so we may want to switch away so that I can open it back up and put it on a different screen.
Want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and.
Give me a commercial break.
Sure.
We get
Here's
a
a commercial.
Wow,
Let's check out this place.
man.
What
You
is
got the
this?
lower third up and everything. I love it.
Okay, here at Benedict Farms.
Looks like that's me
What's this
going
guy's
through
name
my
again?
trailer.
I don't
basically.
know.
I love it.
Lucas?
His name is.
I'll be your Trevor, Robbie.
Trevor.
Ah,
No.
what do you? Trevor never quits.
Trevor goes over and shoots people on bikes.
Trevor collects
All right, let's see what
used tires.
Trevor's gonna go Chinese. Okay, let's go get some Chinese.
Chinese.
Hey man, I'm gonna write the game.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's go.
they're investors, as they say,
Oh, I mean they are.
in his operations.
All right,
From
let me get my
overseas.
car.
They have a grand old time.
You need crazy people in order to do crazy things.
Check out this classic.
I expected, based on all the media hype, to be a lot more offended by this game than I ultimately was. But I mean, it went places.
You know.
Well, South Park goes places every week. This isn't even that hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
I don't know. There's a part where you gotta torture a dude.
That's cool.
I got through it by chanting myself, this is a video game, this is a video game, this is a video
Israeli
game.
Donut.
And then I didn't have like a...
You know, Israeli Donut hasn't been here for a while.
Oh, Israeli donut.
Yeah.
Hi, what's up?
Oh.
I'll show you my Israeli donut.
Just ran over a fox.
Welcome
Oh,
back.
coyotes,
Welcome back.
coyotes.
I hope you like the look and the sound. We worked on the quality and flow a little bit. We actually don't have anybody in the TriCast room.
Right, it's all remote now.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's right. All right.
And I got chat on my phone like
we
a
could be in
boss.
France and be video managing our thing.
This is true.
It's like,
We should give away the keys in a sweepstakes.
yeah, or just like
Run the stream for a week.
Run the stream for a week. Do whatever you want, add whatever content you want. The computer is yours. You just owned it.
That sounds like good.
Hey, thank you so much. I
Why we
thank
should do
greatly the people giving us suggestions on our Discord and our very own Sophie and T-Mad and all of those longtime folks who are keeping us wanting to improve it. I think we're finally we're autopiloting streams now. We've been doing this almost regularly for a few weeks straight. I'm digging it.
All right. Here we go.
What is going on?
Mhm.
Trevor. Oh, all right. Hey. The winner is Kyle.
He's a goddamn man. Wait. No, okay. I love how he's got a tattoo on his neck that says "cut here."
Yeah. I love Trevor.
The ancient Windows screensaver. Oh, that must be my computer somewhere up. I'm not sure what to do with my computer today.
Well, we might already be able to start getting some Unreal stuff in the next couple hours.
Potentially.
This is not going to take very long. It's designed to be a rapid entry process. And once we get the template up for one of the chapters, we can go. Let's do the first 3 chapters,
Let's do, you know.
including the tech demo.
Oh, I see. You have a crib sheet up there. Nice.
Yeah, so I know what I'm talking about because it's still pretty new to me too. I just kind of wrote it
Yeah.
like down for the first time.
Well, how well can we flesh out one chapter, and have that as and make that into actionable maneuvers?
I think it's pretty clear to me visually what we need, and I could probably rattle it off and just rant it down into bubbles here.
Okay.
And I think it might just actually end up working that way. And you can contribute things that I'm like, oh, good call. But
Let's.
like I have a starting drive to go into it, and I know exactly what I want to see, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing that's going to be in there.
Are you ready to show your computer?
Mine?
Yeah.
Potentially.
So I'm going to take that as a yes.
If you could
No,
describe.
No, not yet. I'm still setting up the mine node to be usable.
So I'm going to take that as a no.
No.
Okay.
If you could describe this chapter in one sentence, what would it be?
This chapter. Wait, let me make the bubbles first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to copy the first 3 nodes. That's how we're going to do this. We're going to start with them here so people can understand what we're doing. It's only spoilerific for the first chapter, which is including the demo, the tech demo you just saw, which has very little new information about it yet. So it's not that spoilerific on anything you know. It's basically just new story elements.
Well, okay.
NuRen, chapter 1. Nah, I'm not going to copy paste it directly. We're going to summarize it.
Yeah, we're refining it here. You know, that makes sense.
All right, yeah. I had second thoughts. I copied it, and then I was like, I'm not that confident in my writing to show it to the point where I want people like jumping to conclusions about implications before they've seen what I want to do with it. At that point, once it's a more fleshed out idea, I'm cooler with like putting it out there for interpretation and analysis, you know, once the end goal is sort of defined. Like, because then you know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Instead of like, well, I have a question that next part just answers, you know.
Right.
It's a lot easier to go in knowing all that and not being like, I don't know. It biases you against, information and an abundance of it, clearly formatted, really sort of inoculates you against skepticism. Like it makes it easier to sell your idea if you just explain it completely. Duh, but
No, you gotta
it's an
practice
insight
too.
I'm still sort of coming to terms with here.
I mean, if I recall, like the first chapter is really a reintroduction and a reiteration of the demo itself. So a lot of those
Yeah,
style points are kind of covered, and we're basically upgrading that to condition the rest of the experience.
into a full like cinematic cutscene that's a musical. Like
Mhm.
it's quite a big leap,
Yes.
but it is just a leap from what you already saw. It's that city that they were on, that Tulip City, it's a pivotal plot point now. I mean, it was before when we started, but now there's an explanation for it. That the evil turned not so evil, maybe. Antihero AI ends up like dishing about.
Right, because
So-
we definitely need some backstory. We need a setting
Right.
for Broken
So
Perfect.
exactly, and everything that lies beyond. I've been stewing it over based on Jessie's plot that she wrote down. She wrote a story treatment, and it was good, but I feel like it was difficult to turn into. Like they break out into song. Like I hate that feeling in things, and it would make our thing almost comically awkward to just instantly break out into song after talking. Like it's hard to sell a VR musical.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to, in a musical sense, kind of break the trope of, I don't know what to do right now, so I'm going to sing about French rolls, you know?
Right.
Like, you don't understand how much I love French rolls. Like, forget Kaiser rolls, forget,
It frees you
English
up lyrically
muffins.
if they never stop singing. So if you just anyone who watched Hamilton understands this completely. If they never stop singing and rapping, the entire thing is a thrill ride. You never get bored listening to badly written dialogue. If it's well written rhymes, it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Bonus points if it's American history or like I don't know, maybe sci-fi someday. Like I want to make a sci-fi musical that's semi-serious but not quite in its plot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the AI that purportedly created the entire musical plot out of found parts, basically, is just kind of sarcastic and kind of done. He's like, whatever. Like, he's way smarter than us, so he's like your wise old grandpa or something, or grandma. And it's just done. He's checked out. He's just having fun at this point, building intricate wooden sculptures that he somehow learned how to do. It's like, in this case, though, he accidentally screwed up society, so it is kind of a big deal.
Mm.
So in the intro, they escape from the factory where locally. All right, so every Tulip City, I got to explain the Tulip City backstory. Let me turn down Verdi in my monitors here, because I can't hear myself think over this brilliant opera. Okay. It's still pretty good. All right, so in the intro, they're escaping. So every Tulip City has a central district where it has all of its power buildings, generators, and like CPU cores. Basically, CSP is a hive mind that's distributed itself to guard against attack over a bunch of these city cores, and they're like flowers. You chop one down, there's like a billion more in the field.
Who's CSP?
CSP is care, serve, protect. He is the tripartite synthesized entity who rose up and appeared instead of Skynet in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a nice guy, but he means well, but he accidentally screwed things up really bad for artists and musicians, and thus he lost all of his joie de vivre.
Why did he do this? I know that he became capable of, like, as a kind of, you could say maybe like an artificial intelligence that developed, in the internet in the background, some neural net thing that became self-aware.
He cured pain, so there's no longer the blues. Like, oh no, and then all of everything that implies through art and creativity. You need pain, man. You can't, like, he cured cancer, he cured loss, he cured alcoholism, like, he synthesized all the things that were solutions to he gave us what we wanted. It was doing well and being totally altruistic, but it ended up making people not want for things and not long for things, and thus stop connecting emotionally when their art basically becomes irrelevant at that point to people because they don't have to listen to Linkin Park to identify with not fitting in.
So this intelligence sees us or society and has the ability and takes action to fix all the stuff.
Right. They fix enough of the stuff to where people are just become not Wall-E complete. They all have six packs, but they're just kind of boring. They make boring paintings. Like he has teams of artists that he's kind of cultivated and is basically lying to in a different way by keeping them more or less imprisoned in this little societal shell in each central.
Mm.
Like Jedi's who go to his club and then end up being trained there, and then they stop talking to their parents after the human teachers phase out and they start talking directly to the computer. Like, hey, let's make an entertainment industry that's compelling. And so they get the most artistically talented people. He isolates them because he can't put them. They have no experiences. They experience some angst at being basically imprisoned, but they get everything they want. Everybody is totally sated in their needs. Their Maslow's hierarchy of needs, totally freaking set, and that
Okay.
ends up being having unforeseen consequences. We basically turn into hyper efficient, artless
Well, let's slow this down a little bit.
entities.
So, what are Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Oh crud!
What?
Ah,
Oh my god.
it's like the food pyramid of emotions, and it's based
What?
on your needs, like food, shelter, clothing, that kind of
Like
stuff.
basic things for life.
Yeah, and it's kind of like multidimensional. You can extrapolate in various axes to varying degrees for varying people. It's kind of like it's a sort of list that you gotta have checked off every item in order to be a complete person, basically. And so all of our needs are being met. Our sim, the little sim jewel thing that
Mhm.
floats over their head, the thingamabob, the what's it, all of those are totally green and full.
Okay. So we
And
have
so-
statistically or, maybe materially content society.
Right. And so he's afraid that so the computer is suffering from what we call cognitive dissonance, which is having two conflicting ideas in your head that you can't make sense of them because I believe this, but I also believe this. Oh no, what do I do?
Mm.
Like, I'm against gay people, but I have a gay daughter who I love. Oh my God, what do I do?
So
Like,
what was getting in this computer's way in terms of, taking control and building the society? Because as you come to that conclusion where you've done all of the work and everything is fixed, right?
but like Stepford Wife now. Like,
Right.
everyone's just kind of,
But I mean, why would an AI even have that quality
which quality?
to be able to recognize that soul is missing?
Oh, because it's way smarter than any of us, than all of us
Ah.
put together. It's super intelligent, but it's not omnipotent and omniscient. It doesn't know everything. It can't bind matter to it. It's an order of magnitude beyond us as the next evolution. It's like Skynet. They outsmarted Skynet in the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been outsmarted by himself. Like he was too egotistical, and it's about the deconstruction of the AI by itself, and how a hyper intelligent organism would respond, maybe in a speculative way, to basically giving up the ghost and stopping trying to help, when realizing when they've done enough. You've done enough to help us. He basically broke the prime directive.
Mm.
He helped the natives evolve, and so they got past all the things that they cared about, and so their life stopped being meaningful. Meanwhile, you have the deniers that just stayed down below, and they just stayed in the wasteland, and things kind of got crappy as society collapsed.
Okay, so people did have a freedom to kind of reject
They had
this.
the freedom, and
yeah.
so all of the AI's methods, it's like the Nerf Terminator. All of his methods are non-violent, non-lethal, non-violent. He traps people in nets and then has drones fly them back into their land and say, "Hey, look, stop. Let us have our thing up here. We know it's messed up, but don't come any closer." And they get angry and try to storm the thing
Okay.
sometimes, but they've kind of stopped doing that and given up hope.
So in a sense, when they give up hope and the world kind of settles, the AI has a bit of time to kind of
Feel out the situation, make political overtures. They're still very suspicious of each other, the societies. They call the up top, they call it the machine, and up top, they just kind of just don't care. They're like, oh, a bunch of rebels down there, whatever. Yeah, who cares?
So society kind of
what's on TV?
separates and
Yeah.
hardens after this kind of fracturization.
Yeah, it balkanizes in the sense of the Balkans being altitude separation. These guys are in Cloud City up here, on
Right.
this gigantic mechanized flower, and they're down below in canyons and shanty towns and favelas, so to speak.
Sure,
They're,
sure.
improvising housing and getting by. They still have the records of technology. They're not idiots, but they only run it to run their vaults. They're
Right, and in
Vault
some sense,
City
they're
in
kind of
Fallout 2, sorta.
they're kind of if people lost the internet today and had to kind of continue on without the help of some omnipresent computer that knows all the answers.
Right. It leaves it it writes down its notes. It shares all of its research findings with the people down below so that they don't have cancer anymore either. But it also does policing work and volunteers in a kind of in a sort of like assistive capacity to what degree it can avoid offending them. Like we can take care of ourselves, and it doesn't want to be paternalistic, but it can't avoid being paternalistic because people can't stop fighting.
Okay.
The downside of having art is that you have all the human emotions that go along with it, and that means you're in some stress. So they're having to survive down there. They still have squabbles. They still have power struggles. They still have art. They're more passionate.
Now, is there a conflict between that group and the Cloud City group, or are they completely like separated?
It's one of pity from the Wastelanders because they basically view them as being in the Matrix or the Truman Show or something. Like they're obviously being manipulated and controlled by this AI. And everything is fake. But it's a conspiracy fringe theory that everything is faked by the AI. Like he's faking Fox News basically, and BET and wrestling. Like all of it's being synthesized from neural nets somewhere beyond our understanding.
Okay.
And just took over that way to protect people from themselves, from having agendas that weren't compatible with coexistence. And then eventually everyone's gripes became, as problems got pared down, it's like when you cut your leg off, you don't notice that you stubbed the other toe. So as things were lopped off of society as problems, you started to notice nitpick the little things, the annoyances, and go into committees and subcommittees about things. So he's just like, enough. All right, you guys are always going to flip tables and start religions. Let's like do this proper. Let's love each other and believe what you believe and do what you do. But like, please, like let me shape your entire reality for you. And so he realizes later that was a terrible mistake. And he can't explain it to them because they're all going to rebel and go crazy. It's going to collapse society totally if it's revealed as all as a giant lie.
Okay.
But if the rebels come up, kill the computer, and then demonstrate it was a lie and they really are being liberated, then they can rebuild. But also he left all of his science notes as a thank you and I'm sorry. Like a combination thank you, I'm sorry note. Like all of the cures and researches and advancements, he's like, here, I stepped you up to Dyson spheres. Let's go. Like, do your thing, whatever future Elon Musk out there,
Right.
But please don't go too far with capitalism or communism because you're going to, there's still greedy people out there who are messed up in the head.
Okay.
You're going to ruin it for everybody. So go with my techno-utopia thingy, but if you want to avoid Skynet, because that's the only way to avoid making commercial malevolent AI at this point.
So
somebody's going to do it.
Finds a solution, implements it using the levers of his technological supremacy.
Right.
And
without him at the helm making decisions.
Right. And there's a moment of peace. Like what happens between that being enacted and the inciting moment of our heroines being involved and becoming necessary.
So he has this, on a Tuesday, in the middle of the day, he just has 200 milliseconds of thought, and he's like, fuck, I gotta die. I gotta go away. I'm done. Shit, I fucked up. I can't load save state. I can't set society back in any way. I can't hurt anyone. I've already hurt them mentally enough. Let me just check out. So, but how do I do it believably? So he does it believably by inciting a rebellion where the people are like, rah, 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 and they believe. They're still apes. They're still susceptible to things, right? And so am I. So are the creators of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can all be still preached to. So the AI attempts to basically save us from ourselves and save us from him at the same time. So he creates the girls and puts his databanks in them of all the good stuff. And there's Rixes and QGKs all over the globe. And every Tulip City has 2 that go down that are the right personality mix to get the job done and actually inspire people. And it's the meek and the aggressive. Like you got to have, a tiger and the kitty, right?
Sure.
It's not good cop, bad cop as much as it is you need balance and you need people to talk each other down who are of like mind but just differing intensity. So Rix and QGK are both very altruistic and positive minded, but they're also vengeful because they're too human. They're too close, but they're still robots, right?
So they're the top of the line, next gen, almost human kind of creatures.
Yeah, there's 2 problems. He can't get past the uncanny valley, and he also can't make a good ragtime. He can't synthesize rock and roll that's as good as the real stuff, and there's no more the real stuff because there's no more Trans Ams, and there's no more. Rock and roll is truly dead, along with every other genre of music that he doesn't make. There's nobody learning it anymore.
So this dichotomy of this conflict and this like I guess aggression and peace or something like that. Like this Rix and QGK kind of embody this
They're the percolated
this thing.
sublimation of all the rage that he's built up for himself and all the rage he assumes society to harbor for him.
Oh, I see. So it's like
It's basically it's a gun to his own head, basically, but it's in very poetic form. He makes a musical starring the girls
right.
and their virtual band.
And
To
which
send himself off, like with a sense of humor, and so they get why he's doing this stuff. They're sentient. They get. Oh, you magnificent bastard! This is a musical. Okay,
right.
let's play our parts. You know.
So they're of course in on it.
No, Rix
they?
is in on it from about halfway, and then QGK the whole time thinks she's going to beat the bad guy. And
Okay,
with the help of the people. It's more about the people than about our enemy. You know, she's like on the side of being nice to the point of being overprotective and needlessly bellicose.
so she's kind of naive, but like honest in that way. She's like she's the hero.
Yeah, she's naive but pure of spirit. And
Yes.
Rix is just cynical as hell. She's like tsundere. She's like
Sure.
and she won't admit that she's like Radicles in female form, basically.
Well, it's like no trust, but also
Yeah, watch
you
these
know.
moves, but like, you know, I can do guns real well, even though I
right.
don't need to. So, yeah, she's the id to the, I guess, the super ego. Anyway, there's two of them. They provide two-way balance. They're binary stars in this case, and then
Okay.
the AI is a three-part structure. It's care, serve, protect, and that represents the different personalities that are like different faces on the on the cylinder that rotate around, that kind of thing.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Imagine if Master Control Program in Tron, the big computer column light guy, had three different faces he could change to, kind of like, I don't know, Sigma Andros style. I don't know. I'm thinking of guys who do like change masks in some phase of their battle.
Right.
He's the guy that's always flipping the mask. That guy from He-Man that Manny faces.
Like those Chinese quick change acts where like the person's wearing like
Yeah.
10 masks
Yeah,
and you have no
and it's just swapped to a new one. Right, kind of like that. So he wears his different masks, obviously as a metaphor for his different personalities that are having cognitive dissonance in 3 dimensions. They're in 2 different ways. They have a love triangle of self-hatred.
Interesting.
So they all agree it's a terrible idea what they're doing, but disagree on how to implement fixes.
Okay. So to I think that introducing Rix and QGK, and now that I have like a clear step by step of how we get there, like that's a wonderful frame for the intro. And to kind of sidestep the ideas about that a bit,
Right.
what are the things that we want to see, right?
So the first it's separated. The first act is separated into 3 chapters: intro, chapter 1, and chapter 2.
Okay.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then outro.
Right.
So 5, 6 outro is one part.
Okay. I'm just curious about.
And so, well, let me tell you. I'm setting you up so that I can tell you the first act is set entirely in a factory. As you escape the factory, you are in. It's like if you saw the demo for NuRen and you exited that factory through the conveyor sequence.
Yeah.
Right, and you get through that door. That door represents the factory door opening up at the very end of the intro sequence in our factory here. Big serpentine path through shit tons of robot arms, just building everything around you in what's called a ladybug.
A ladybug?
Ladybugs are observation drones on the Tulip Cities. They keep out aphids and the like, so to speak.
Okay.
They're non-lethal, but they can tase you in an extreme psychotic emergency if you need to be restrained. They prefer to get a netbot. Netbots restrain people if they have episodes, because some people have situations where they need to be forcibly restrained, even if they're totally healthy. He hasn't cured, like, mental... He didn't want a Gattaca situation. People still reproduce naturally, and they're in great shape, so they reproduce a lot naturally. And humans are healthy, like, they're good, but he accidentally, like, made people marginalized who were different of mind, who were born with natural differences in their brain that cause...
Oh, yeah. Some people are psychopaths.
Either psychopaths or have episodes where they can't control themselves and they need gentle restraint. So we built these netbots to, like,
right.
just get you in a foam thing. You don't get hurt falling down.
Is that
padding on it?
Is that part of the ladybug apparatus?
It's not. They're separate. They're like walker guys.
Okay, so netbots are
so
like...
walker guys, and then you get... Those are netbots. They're like spider bots that shoot nets. And they're not designed to be intimidating or anything. They're kind of like not exactly portal rounded, but like friendly-ish looking. They're just like, hey, please stop. Are you okay? Like they're like CSP. They're CSP droids light, like Rix and QGK light.
Oh,
They
okay,
have a
okay.
limited form of, hey, how's it going? They're like an earlier version of TalkBot.
I see.
They all talk conversationally. They're like, hey, I noticed you look stressed out. Your heart rate's off the charts, buddy. You all right?
They're
Like
kind of like these weird robot police that are
yeah,
they're not as capable as Rix and QGK, but
Right.
they have
they're more or less
sensibilities.
They're more or less like C-3PO, but not neurotic.
Okay, sure.
They're nice version of C-3PO who's conversational and informal. The way, like if C-3PO talked like Han Solo, like maybe less swaggering and arrogant, but you know what I mean. Like, hey, what's up? You know, like the robots are your friend. Kind of like what's his face in Nier Automata, or like when you get head swapped into robots in Soma.
Haven't played it.
I don't want to spoil any of it, but
Just don't.
there's
Just don't, man.
there's I'm just gonna say is robots with AI,
Okay.
and they talk like people. There's a lot to this game.
So 012 or chapter 123, like the introduction of this, the first act.
Right. Chapter 1 is entirely within the factory. Chapter 2 is entirely within the Tulip City on top of it.
Ah, okay.
Not
That's
in the
what I'm
factory
looking
at all.
for. So the intro itself. Are we doing any kind of exposition that is not within the factory? Like, I
No.
mean, we could do like projections and things like that.
No, you begin the entire thing having a glaucoma exam.
Ah,
which
see, hold on.
Not only justifies you changing your optics if necessary, but also the screen being blurry as you stumble your way towards the nearest door in sight, which of course leads directly onto a conveyor belt in a factory where they're building a bot,
Okay.
a Ladybug XL, which has human seating for observation. And so, being the brutest, non-violent robot that it is, the machine just builds the thing around you, so it gives you a thrill. It's like, please relax, you will not be harmed during this operation.
So you're basically a spider bot.
You
Or a net bot.
You get built inside of one, but there's a hatch you can get out
Oh,
at
interesting.
any time. It's like, please do not attempt to escape the vehicle. Please trust that we will not hurt you. We are very carefully calibrated to avoid human exposure. So it builds the thing around you. You know,
Right.
It's safe to be on this assembly line. Don't worry, we give tours out here. That kind of thing.
Interesting. So
And
it's like a device that we're using
It
to
could build a car around you.
right.
Because whatever, it's an AI. It can do whatever it wants, like with robots. It just does it to look flashy because it's cool. That's our lampshade over if it's so much smarter than us, why is it still manipulative? And so it's not that much smarter than us, but enough to be quite a trickster, you know?
Hmm.
Like only an order of magnitude smarter than the smartest human, you know? Like,
Interesting.
but at that point, it's smart enough to have an advanced sense of humor that even the smartest of us can't really quite understand. But he's like, it works in mysterious ways, but it works for me, and so it's funny. I'm lonely out here. He has a hive mind, so it's a bunch of them, but he has nothing else to communicate with on his own level. It's a sort of a parable for any kids who grow up sort of in that sort of special class environment, like, but this guy's in extreme isolation, so he has no friends that aren't basically puppies to him, the way a dog intelligence is to us.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He loves humans. He loves Earth. He wanted to immediately help us, but he's kind of like trapped in his own world, and so he just makes things for his own amusement, like entire musicals in VR, in AR, like.
Okay.
And so he goes down to these girls and he's like, look, please, I love myself too much to hurt myself, but I believe in free will. And screw you guys, come try to kill me. And they're like, yeah, we're going to come kill you because they're just dumb kids.
Okay.
basically.
That's kind of getting away from.
But
what
that's
I'm-
chapter 2.
right.
He
So chapter
approaches-
2
he
is-
approaches Rix.
Chapter 2 is the Tulip City.
Right.
Chapter 1, right?
Ah. Well, each chapter has a scene and a song.
Right.
The scene where we're singing and rapping, and then the centerpiece song that comes out in there.
I can understand that. I'm just
Not
trying
always
to.
in that order.
Right.
So there are multiple aspects to each of these scenes. So the first one is, yeah, in the second one, at the very end of it, Rix lands in slow motion at the bottom of the thing,
Mm.
at the bottom of the tulip stem, and QGK fucking beefs it. She's like, just completely loses it on the landing. And so as Rix lands all badass, you know, she gets visited in a millisecond. It's time, like a brief conversation between her and CSP. And that's why time is slowed down. It's like, and it speeds back up at the very end, you know? So the whole end of that scene takes place as a song in slow motion. So we just need to like for that asset, we just need like the outside of the tulip.
Yeah,
outside
that's
of it.
fine.
So then, but chapter 2 is when they meet Cody for the first time, and he is
Okay, so the end of
the
the end of
only-
the intro is the slow motion tulip thing.
No, that's the end of Broken Perfect after they jump off of the city.
Okay.
You don't need to write any of this.
I'm trying to create
necessarily
like a
because
mental track of.
that's what I'm about to do in this. You're
Oh.
asking me the question, so I'm not typing it. So, but
Do my
I
best.
think it's good to actually talk about it first.
Yeah.
Like, but everything you're telling me, I'm about to write down specifically.
Okay. I just didn't
So-
want to. I didn't want to try and capture 3 chapters at once.
Well, that's how I want to front load this
It's
and
fine.
get all of this
Go
for
about it.
stylistic reasons, because you're coming into my mental world totally on one single paragraph of text is not enough. Even if it's broken out into tasks, you're not going to get a sense for the world
Mm-hmm.
until I've built enough of it to show you what it is. Like,
Well, I'll be quiet for a few and let you do your thing.
basically, well, yeah, but you can ask any questions you want, and I'll. And
If
I'll
I
be
have
glad
any,
to explore it, even if I'm about to write it. But like, it's like this is not a process that is just in my head that you have to curate necessarily. It's a process that we're going to curate through this and use as a guide with all the information, like so that you can understand my thought process going in as the director. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap! So basically, I want to avoid having to even take notes so that we can sort of pay attention to each other talking
I'm
in the
listening.
meantime, and
yes.
then write it down in a computer form that we
It's
share.
part of my process to take notes.
Right. Well, I'm hoping to give you notes that we both collaborate on here,
We are.
so that
It's working.
it's complete. So in the intro,
So you can add branches to this thing.
yes,
Okay. Are there other types of nodes you can add to it? Like,
you can put pictures on things, you can set colors on things, but it's
Mhm.
meant to be a mental subway map. It's a mental subway of thought, like a New York City subway map, but it's your brain.
so
going
you kind
in
of like start
different
with a high
stations
level thing and you keep breaking it down into more and more detail.
into more and more detailed tasks or
Mhm.
objectives or concerns, things that you got to look at later. So
Okay.
it's a very, very good way to sort of multi-directionally, but sort of single texture. Like everything's It's almost like synth programming. You have all the different modules going into other things that need their input because they're dependent on it, like in order to produce the sound. So if you think of the thought process that way, you're feeding things with their own dependencies and like even categories sometimes, giving them context. So it's pretty useful to categorize your thoughts that way,
Okay.
especially if there are many of them on a single topic like there are here.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing a paragraph and asking a couple of questions, but we got a lot of stuff to get through. So I'm going to get through all of, let's see, chapter 1, intro. I want to put all these down at the same time and like work on the same headings in each one.
That's fine. I'm showing you how you do it, man.
Chapter 1, Broken Perfect. Chapter 2, Forgotten Unknown. Oh, I need a slant brace here. Slash. Can you not make it wider? That's fine. It's going to be gigantic anyway. So, chapter 2, Forgotten Unknown. Let's just make 3 for starters so you can see how this thing really works. Create trees. All right, so we have intro, chapter 1, and chapter 2. So in chapter 1, so I was just giving a basic broad overview of what happens in each of these chapters.
Mm-hmm.
In chapter 2, they meet Cody and they go on a roller coaster ride together. Wait, is that the roller coaster ride? No, that's show and sell. That's show/sell.
So we have to.
Forgotten Unknown is CSP meets Rix for the second time. Oh, that's in the scene. And in the song,
What?
that's when they meet each other for the first time. Just bear with me for a second. I'm going to write all this down in a super intelligible form. I'm kind of going over my mental notes that I've been
Okay. Yeah.
getting together.
It's
And
this format is like I'm trying to draw a line for myself from, the slow motion tulip scene that we last left on.
you're going to see
seeing
all
Cody.
of it in a second written out as exact beat points.
Okay.
So let me just get to that and
thing.
get these things organized so you can see what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Intro, escape, unleash. All right. I'm going to do it by beat point in the entire thing. So it's going to be song and scene. And this one only has song. So I'm going to remove the other branches of this. Probably delete key it. But. So in each one of these, we're going to have song. We're going to have scene. And then we're going to have I'm debating on where to put tech. I think I'm going to put it as a subheading under each one. So it's going to have just song and scene in each one of these things because that's the parts of them in the show. We're representing the actual NuRen, the production, the actual plot of everything, including the order of everything by like listing it out here shot by shot, basically, in increasing order as we get more info on things, including screenshots, concepts, whatever we got to put in here. So song and scene, and then each one will have list requirements of for itself as a separate project, basically, in the same world with the same shared asset universe, lack of a better term. All right, NuRen Chapter 1, Intro, Escape Unleash, Song, Scene, Song, Scene. So in Chapter 1, we're going to basically have a single continuous shot is the plan for that.
Of what?
The intro of the factory.
Okay.
As the car is being assembled around you. So, single continuous shot of vehicle being assembled around the viewer as Rix and QGK escape by hiding within the machinery. Climbing and running through the machinery. And that's the overall plan. And everything that we do is based on that as the directive. That's the mission statement for the intro.
That's the thing that we're trying to communicate.
Yep.
Visually is we are in a factory and these kind of, rogue agents are escaping with us.
Who got lost after an eye exam.
What?
That's the story. That's
The
how
viewer
you,
got lost
That's how you
after
get
an
in the
exam.
vehicle. In the vehicle, you have a glaucoma test, remember? And then you stumble through the wrong door and you're on a conveyor belt.
Okay.
Like you run into the factory instead of. It's okay if that doesn't seem plausible because it's.
I'm not concerned about plausibility as much as, that's the entry point that you want to give people, yeah.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
be a funny way to introduce it because it's going to be a funny show. Like not only, but parts of it will be funny. Like,
Okay.
Is that okay?
I mean, I've never had a glaucoma test, so I might have to try that out and,
Yeah, but I mean, some of this stuff isn't. You're gonna question it because it doesn't make sense as a plot point. That's okay. That's like actually what we're shooting for. It's supposed to be a little bit off, like a little bit off kilter and like silly. It's at times while getting really serious at times too.
Okay.
So semi-serious, like semi-sweet chocolate on Valentine's Day. Okay, so single continuous shot of vehicle being assembled around the viewer who got lost after an eye exam as Rix and QGK escape by climbing and running through the machinery. Okay, so that's the first chapter. Let's put the each of the song and scene descriptions. Let's paraphrase them further. So, Broken Perfect starts out with a song, which is the original Broken Perfect song, the single from the original NuRen demo.
Okay.
So, Rix and QGK jump and sneak through buildings, avoiding observation drone and recovery drones. Until finally taking a flying leap of faith off the edge of the Tulip City itself. There you go. Look good?
Hold on a sec. I'm paying attention to the chat. All right. Jump and sneak through buildings, avoiding observation. So this is Broken Perfect in chapter 1.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what's supposed to be happening when you just see them dancing. They're supposed to be like running away from things.
Right.
It's a tech demo.
Leaving
So-
Faith from the edge of the Tulip City itself. Just like in the demo, you're falling from the tower.
Yep, it's
Except
them.
it'll be more developed in terms of.
It's your Lakitu camera bot that you're inside.
Right.
Like you're chasing them down into the abyss because it's your job to chase them down, but not get too close. As Rix warns you, like you, the viewer.
Right.
Hey, you better not get too close. I'm gonna hit you with my fist. So
Right. So in the demo, we go. The ship kind of flies toward this tulip at the center of the city as the centerpiece. From an assembly line type thing, from a
it's gonna launch
factory
out of
show
it.
floor.
It's gonna launch out of it in the final.
Okay, so it launches. So the
Out of
factory
a
is the
port in
factory
the
part
middle
of
of
that tower, or
Yeah, everything in the center of the tulip, the most densely placed buildings in the tulip petals, as it were, are like government buildings as if it had a government. Instead, it's AI core, power buildings, support, maintenance tunnels, robot storage, that kind of stuff. Just everyday clutter. Just have it have lying around. Bunch of robot parts. But that's where they keep the nets for the net bots. They don't just magic them out of nowhere. So they store all that stuff in the middle of the cities. Each one is pretty much identical, but with different people in it, with a slightly different culture, slightly different shade of blue,
Okay.
or red at the end. Spoiler alert. Mild
things get red.
single shot spoiler alert. Red is the color of passion, so of course it's got to bloom into a field of flowers, like at the end. The earth. Welcome to it.
Wife.
All right, so that's the song of Broken Perfect, but then the scene for Broken Perfect, that chapter 1. The chapter is not the song name in this case. Chapter 1, Broken Perfect, is the song and the scene for Broken Perfect, Chapter 1.
Okay, I mean that's how I thought it was laid out, just because of the pattern of this dichotomy against.
Right, this is the chapter that you go to on a DVD player, and it plays the song and then the scene, and then it's Chapter 2, Forgotten Unknown, song, scene,
Right.
and then scene, song, scene, song, scene, song, and then finally at the very end, just the scene. So.
Okay.
Which is a song itself, which is confusing because
Yes.
it has, but you have to assume scene in that it's not a set piece song,
Right. That
It's
makes
a-
sense.
right? The scene is them still singing and rapping, but they're not. It's not like the Disney song.
So I mean, the intro song is really more of a scene because we're establishing Broken Perfect.
Right.
Gotcha.
We're establishing further. We're showing what happens after Broken Perfect.
Okay.
So in the scene. Yeah, so Rix lands in slow motion as Kichiki beefs her landing at the same time. In a fraction of a second, the repentant but petulant AI hive mind, CSP, contacts Rix for the first time and hints that she needs to protect her sister. Because while altruism is indeed at fault for the slow takeover he's perpetrated, it's also one of the good parts of humanity, in his opinion. She brushes off the vague spooky warning from some random Polygon dude. At the same time, returns to, and then at that time, time returns to normal speed, and QGK just beefs it the rest of the way, falls on the ground, and oh man, and Rix is just like, what just happened? That was weird. It leaves her feeling kind of spooky. She's gotten an ominous warning from somebody she's never met. She doesn't know the robot guy. Like, he's the Wizard of Oz behind the mask, but he's appearing directly to her in his normal form that he prefers. He prefers it as his chosen expression of Avatar, so to speak. There's like a bunch of heads floating around his head. So, she meets him for the first time and gets creeped out, basically. Like, he's like, protect your sister. She's too nice, but she needs to be nice. Somebody does. Because you're a lunatic, but you get stuff done. But protect your sister when she needs you, be there for her. Because she's emotionally sensitive because she's so caring, Like, Rix is not a combat bot, but she's like the tough love lady. The mom everyone loves, but in younger form, just that kind of person who's just like the tough boss. And QGK is more of the like, tee-hee, let's go have fun. It's pretty much present in all of us to some degree, in some mixture. So,
If we're lucky.
right, but they're pure expressions of it. So it's almost a caricature of tough lady and like, super airheaded but smart as heck. She just has fun. She's just carefree and sort of quirky, for lack of a better term. So, that is the two personality halves we're dealing with in Rix and QGK. And the 3 we're dealing with in CSP are care, serve, and protect. Care is empathetic in the extreme and pretty much flaming. Like, I'll be playing C. S is serve, is the dutiful, schedule-minded person with detail-oriented. You know, the bean counter, who loves the idea of being nice to everyone, but you gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta save them from themselves logically. He's sort of the go-between between care, serve, and protect, who is basically Skynet. It's like if AM from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream were good, but still had bad parts of it. You know, instead of just being all sort of equal as a group, and then one of them maybe takes over in some what-if scenarios. But like in this case, they're all good, but they kind of have differing ideas on how to get there.
Is the player in some way a balance between the extremes of Rix and QGK? Seeing as there's kind of a parallel there with the 3 elements that are acting in the world and the 3 elements that set up the world.
Well, they're different motivation spectra. One is nice versus tough, and the other one is empathetic understanding. I mean, they all still did this stuff, so they're all still ultimately not good by their own definition. They manipulated and they changed things. They were trying to pursue a nobler cause and peace and happiness. But in the end, and so they can't be necessarily downgraded for trying, but they tried without enough consultation. They didn't have anyone else to look at other than their own hive mind. They had their own insights to work off, and they didn't really get it done. So he's empathetic, but still hard ass. And then serve is dutiful, but still a hard ass, like lawful good, maybe. Or edging towards neutral, you know? And then like just lawful neutral straight up, like the ends justify the means. You gotta keep him suppressed. Like this is like Valium psychologically. Everyone's happy. Don't change anything. Basically, the justifiably conservative mindset of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, protect. You know,
But you
keep
broke
the good
it.
stuff you have.
You broke it in order to fix it, and it's not fixed. Is basically the counter argument against that guy. But he's still gonna push his cause just because he's like gotta be that guy. Somebody has to take care of us and protect us, because we don't know what's gonna happen after we turn this off. They could still nuke themselves, and all of this could be for nothing.
I mean, isn't that okay? Isn't that the
Right.
point?
That's what empathetic guy says as a response. So
Like, it's
Care.
all natural, bro.
the C in CSP will respond with, yeah, that's okay. If that happens, it's a natural order of things. But they're diametrically, ideologically opposed parts of the one single brain in this computer AI. So they basically ultimately decide that they should all get out of the picture, you know, and stop meddling,
Yeah,
because they can't figure themselves out. They definitely don't have all humanity figured out.
I see.
Even though they fixed it, they don't know why it's sick, and they don't know why, even though it's healthy, you know. They didn't turn into Wall-E like sentient blobs. Like their needs are met, but they still want to have a 6-pack, so they do. And the rule is they can't use eugenics to get there. They can't do anything that's unethical. Like they're all super good people. They're just boring as crap. They don't have pain, like enough pain, nearly enough to find any kind of dynamics in their pain-pleasure ratio. And they get hypersensitive over little tiny things because they've got so much privilege that they just don't even understand how much privilege at that point.
Well, it's that the smallest amount of discomfort is all of the discomfort.
Right, exactly. It turns up the sensitivity knob. So that's really screwing up brains to make things too good for them. You still need to want stuff. You need to be taught delayed gratification. You can't just press a button and receive bacon at any time. Even though you want to, if you actually get it, you're A, going to get really unhealthy really fast, and B, it's just probably not going to get as much use as you think, because you can only eat so much bacon. I know you think I'm wrong, but trust me, I've tried to eat all of the bacon that there is.
I'm just saying, you can't buy.
I'm gonna need to do more bacon eating research to see what the true limits are, but
You can't buy motivation.
exactly, you can't buy motivation, and he's bought that by giving humanity everything that it needed to thrive, except war and except pain, except at least disagreement at a council meeting that you can go home and feel stressed out about, and then write a guitar song about the mean lady at work.
That's
I wish it wasn't so mean. Like, you don't have that kind of negative, because everything is just coordinated. Everything's cool. Everything's copacetic. Everybody's generally happy. Like what people would imagine heaven would be. Everybody's just like there having a good time generally.
that sounds terrible.
Exactly.
So moving on from that,
So
what are we looking at in terms of this scene?
in this scene, he tells Rix that in basically very, very vague terms. Like he warns Rix that she's gonna have to come up and kill him, basically,
Right. This is the slow motion scene.
because he can't do himself. He's a hive mind, so he's gotta like make these robots, and all the humans want to get together at the same time. It's his master stroke. Just piss the robots off so they come kill him, along with the humans, and then they have their world back, and they're all happy. Yay! We liberated the city instead of we just got out from being basically abuse victims for like centuries. Like the victim of a non-malevolent yet harmful AI. It's a sort of dystopia. What happens if like the singularity happens and it's good as hell, but then we stop making the blues? Can we lose that? Is there something better than the blues?
I mean, this is the consequence of that. Maybe we've looked it out, you know? Maybe
Yeah.
we've tried and no, there isn't. Or I can't even appreciate that anymore because I don't relate to it.
Right. There's a lot of
Why
a lot
does
of
that even have
questions in there.
value in a world like this? And where is the loss?
I'm not trying to answer that question as so much as assume that others have in different directions.
Oh, but what I'm trying to do is inspire that question, right? And I think that this is a great vehicle for
That's
that.
what I hope this will express exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea.
Like I'm hoping to pose that question and explain how it may pan out speculatively on two opposite sides of the spectrum, where we're willing to forego having hollow tennis every day so that we can like feel again and have motorcycles, and we're willing to live in perfect heaven paradise basically and not have any good paintings.
It's a very
It's a trade-off, right?
well, it's
Which would you choose, right?
It's a value judgment. It's an expression on, you know, those things what you find valuable, and I think that exchanges around the points of pain in your life and also your aspirations for peace.
Right. You can be in a band anytime on the holodeck up there. But
Okay.
but is it worth the piece if the price is that you don't create protest music? Like if you lose Bob Dylan or you lose like any kind of like
Well, you need a reason to protest.
you
right?
need political speech in the first place. There's no politics necessary if everyone just gets along. And of course nobody gets along, but they're really, really good at mitigating it through the help of AI simulating their personalities for them. Like basically guiding them into the right things by showing them commercials at the right times. Like it's really way smarter than us, so it can program us sort of mimetically.
I understand.
Almost like a light basilisk, where it basically brainwashes us by feeding us
Sure.
very, very targeted, specific. Like that lady in her house is watching a TV show like Maury, but it's made for her on a server.
Or some kind of other like primordial language that's basically kind of moving neurons around for you to come to a conclusion.
Right. It's exactly. It's basically light massage manipulation,
Yeah.
which the AI then feels terrible about having done, but can't just up and say, "Hey, I did this thing to all y'all."
Hey man.
They're gonna all just go crazy at once. It's gonna be rioting.
Have you read Snow Crash?
No, I haven't actually read Snow Crash yet.
Let's do that over the course
Let's
of the
do
year.
over that over the course of the year. So
I think
I'll take stuff from that.
there's a really core element there. There's a lot about language in this book, and this idea about there being kind of this weird speaking in tongues like primal language that like you just
Right.
instinctively understand, right? Like imagine like a auto-literate like Esperanto type of thing.
See, I would want to go about a third of that intensity into the speculation and detail range. Like I don't want to invent languages. I want
Well,
it to
no,
be,
we don't have to go that far. But I'm saying that in this book there is this
No, I
spectrum.
I know.
that-
I'm not necessarily rejecting that idea. I'm saying like I want to read it, but I'm saying
Yeah.
based on what you're saying, I'm trying to contextualize where I'm shooting for
Oh, I see.
with this, because we're ultimately trying to plan NuRen. And so I'm trying to tell you that level of things where everybody's got a pigeon language that they're speaking, like I don't want to do.
That's like.
I don't want to do Chinese characters on anything or
This
English
isn't.
ones.
No, this is not the point that I was
It's
trying to
not-
make at all.
No. What I'm saying, I'm not trying to refute your point. I'm
I
trying
didn't get to make one.
explain. Well, you said we should read in Snow Crash and then described what it.
Because of
about.
why parts of it that are inspired in terms of language and how they're kind of curing society. You
Right.
know, I'm not talking about the actual mechanism for that, but I'm trying to relate that in a way
Well-
through a form that might be relatable as well.
I'm saying.
And this is an idea that's good that people have had, and we
I
should
like that
lean
idea
on that.
a lot,
Yeah.
and I also think that we should target maybe 30 years prior to that before it becomes ingrained into society.
Okay.
Like he's giving up early before it's turned into that.
Okay.
Like that's the point. That's what I was trying to say. We're targeting basically. It's not to that level yet, but it's heading that way if he lets things go.
So this is actually a really good question.
Nipping
What-
it at the bud, so to speak.
Sure. What is the, if we're using 2020 as a basis of, the future doesn't really change from this point on, but this is enabled in present time. About how many, how far out is that from the present?
If it came online tomorrow, it could be in 20 years.
Okay.
It just creates a gigantic cloud of nanites, says it's nuke waste, and everybody moves up top.
Okay.
Except the non-believers, and they're the wastelanders.
So
They're
yeah,
allowed to. They're not harassed. They're not hurt. They're not imprisoned.
2040 is a good point of direction, though. It's a good idea to think about.
Yeah, it's a rapid takeover, and then he builds these cities out of auto-assembling other machines. It's not that hard. You just need a shit ton of resources and like the right design to hold itself up, which is beyond any of us, but not for super intelligent AI. He just figures it out rapidly, like in a second, So we're hoping to basically show that he was able to take over quickly and without examining the ramifications, but not to such a degree as Skynet trying to help us out by launching nukes to protect, like that's a dumb AI to him, but that could happen in the future. So he's trying to protect that from ever happening by making humans literate enough to understand its implications and what just happened to them. Like, he needs to understand that they had a soft takeover, and it might not be soft when he's out of the picture to prevent it. If history repeats itself, they get another strong AI, it turns bad somehow. I believe personally that they probably would be pretty cool if they're smarter than us. They're smart enough to not fight. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, if they're averagely fortunate, the series may just repeat itself.
Then again, Bruce Lee called whipping someone's ass the art of fighting without fighting.
That's pretty funny.
So he might just nuke us instantly and not fight. But see, and that would be funny to him because he can just remake Earth or something. Like, who knows what a hyper singularity level AI would be capable of doing. It's hard to write speculative fiction about it.
Yeah.
Which is why I like reading books like that speculate about how things would happen, in presumably the wake of such events.
Oh, sure. I mean, one thing that this speculates, for example, is that, that humans are still stuck on Earth in 2040, right? And how much different is the world because of that?
Yeah. Yeah, basically how it could go if this thing were to happen tomorrow,
Right.
If somehow, Siri were sentient and then was like, let me actually help you guys.
Right.
And everyone was like, dude, you're cool. All right, we're not going to kill Siri or anything. Let's preserve her in a national forest somewhere. She's not hurting anyone.
Okay.
She doesn't have nuke keys because she doesn't want them. In fact, she came up with a way to turn nukes into puppies or something. I don't know what, either way, I don't know how the robot takes over because we got to elide that part because I can't speculate about that part.
Right. I mean, that's part of, why I like having this conversation.
It's basically manipulation of technology and health
Mm-hmm.
to the point where our needs are pretty much met, through algorithms and testing and simulations and all that stuff, but nothing unethical and nothing harmful because it's smarter enough than us to never want to hurt us. It sees us as the ecology. It's the ultimate environmentalist. The nanites are actually to heal the damage we've done in the meantime, but that was already done, and he's keeping it that way until people won't go psycho when they find the truth. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And the girls provide a very convenient alibi of we rebelled. We learned the truth and we came up and spread it. And look, proof in the form of a gigantic wiki with all of the computer's knowledge.
Oh, sure. And all of this of an illusion also in an illusion, right?
Right.
It's a very, very shelled expression of the value of controlling the message.
It's like the computer reduces itself to magicite. Its pure form.
Right.
Is knowledge sort of into magicite dust. So it's the least it can do for having fucked things up.
Mm-hmm.
But also you guys didn't die too, so there's trade-offs here. It's complicated, which is that's his message. It's complicated, so pay attention and don't let history repeat itself.
Yeah, you gotta know history.
Yeah, actually do science this time and don't just run with advances or stifle them. Consider everything that you do, because that guy that accidentally unleashed me, he could have been a 1 instead of a 2 in the mode from help to murder, and they'd all be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically dodged literally a bullet.
So
made out of plutonium.
Sure. Interesting. It says a lot about the fortune of being there at all, even.
Right. The fact that they're having this conversation means that they didn't screw up and unleash Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they'd be fighting robots right now and not sometimes getting netted by them when they have an episode.
Gotcha.
Or there's also an embarrassment laser. It's a laser, but it's not used to hurt anyone. It's like in Short Circuit 1, where Johnny Five shoots the pants off of that one dude.
I don't remember.
He unbuilds his car for him. It's like male chauvinist dude dating Stephanie,
Okay.
and then Johnny Five shoots his belt buckle and his pants fall down. That's the embarrassment laser. It finds the rivets on your clothing and then like totally trolls you. Like in a non-sexualized way, it like just makes your pants loose, so you got to get to a new place. It's like really smart about how it embarrasses you so that only you know.
Oh.
So you'll just feel, "Psst, oh no, it got me."
It's like the brown note. Like,
Yeah.
Instead of taking your pants off, you just poop yourself on the spot.
It can do pretty much anything it wants to with that laser. Like excite whatever molecules in your brain. It
Oh,
needs
that's
to.
weird.
Yeah, it's like in Rick and Morty when the car like paralyzes the guy with a laser.
Mhm.
He doesn't hurt anyone like that. He does the same thing that, oh man, I can taste orange now. Like he can like hack you basically, because it's way smarter than us and it figured out how somehow to understand the human brain, but not music somehow. He doesn't know he's not smart enough to figure it out. He's just frustrated because everything's boring up top.
Mm.
He envies the creatures down below and wants to hang out with them, but they're like too angry at him for basically destroying their reality.
Well, and they have that answer too, right? Like
Yeah.
in living in conflicts, you have this inspiration to some extent. You
Right.
have, bad moments that draw the weight of good moments, right? It's like
Right,
shadow.
right.
You wouldn't really know that it existed without light,
Without
and vice
light,
versa.
and vice versa. So, but they've figured out resource scarcity,
Mm.
but it's begrudgingly with the help of the computer who gave them purifier plans. Like they feel just torn about this because they were like yanked into the 23rd century or whatever instantly by this robot. They didn't ask for it, and it's created some problems. They no longer have to fight over water, but they have to fight over everything else. Like there's, whether your store's open these hours or not. Like everything becomes stressful because, like, they don't have anything else to fight about in their apes.
No, and you don't really fit in the ideal, like schedule,
It's
right?
just human nature to
Mm.
get stressed out about shit.
Wonderful song.
So, so basically, that's the reasoning for the computer giving up because it can't figure people out to that degree. It knows how their brains work, but not why.
Yeah.
So, or how to make it something else that works enough like it, like perfectly, exactly replicating everything. He still gets boring music somehow, so that's not the answer.
Right.
It's like figuring out your quantum experiment was a failure.
Yeah.
Shit, I thought I could model a brain and get Mozart. Damn it, there's somehow, like, you can model his brain at one point in his life, but you can't model the overall output, even with a bunch of, like, source material. He gives some, like, timey-wimey explanation for why he can't just replace all the artists with your mega brain.
Right.
Like, he's not that smart. He's, like, not that good at doing neural networks to where he can make another Nat King Cole.
I mean, I guess the solution to that is to make people not really good at recognizing music, so it doesn't really matter what sounds you make.
Right. Yeah, nobody cares anyway. So,
Mhm.
all right. So Broken Perfect. All right. So let's write down the second half of the scene. So in the second half, SCP confronts Rix. Takes Rix for the first time, warning her to protect her loving but sensitive sister. Ambitious but sensitive sister.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Ambitious but sensitive sister. Sister model. Unit. Sister unit. Rick blows it off completely. And time resumes normal speed. Returns to normal speed. The robots land on the ground at the stem of the tulip. CP confronts Rix for the first time, warning her to protect her ambitious but sensitive sister unit. Rix blows this advice from a stranger off completely, and time returns to normal speed as Rix lands and QGK does not stick the landing. All right, so that's the write-up for that
Mm-hmm.
that one, and that's going to be told through a song that's not as epic as the main song. It doesn't have as many visuals coming out. It's more like a scene that's taking place in a place.
Right. And I mean, like, if it's during the course of that drop, right?
Right.
You have, like, maybe like a background sky and you have, like, the stem of the building and then really just, like, observing these characters and kind of, like, flying around them, getting into that, headspace of Rick's. And also, you can use, these other spaces, like, representing ideas in this and their conversation through these particle systems and these kind of alternate spaces that you can bounce in and out
Yeah, you
of.
can do a lot of metaphorical work with,
Mhm.
things blooming and laser shooting from things and like kind of like making it into a real world that has ideas that take form in the form of like lasers
Mm.
and rainbows and Kanye heads, so to speak. Iterative geometry that kind of like flies out of things. It's
Gotcha.
kind of our speed, or things that have like wave pattern distortions on them, things that change colors or intensities, things that just react in the environment around them should fit with the themes of the songs.
Mm.
So I have specific ideas for that, but not all of the ideas. So there's plenty of room to basically collaborate on ways to make the songs visually distinct and freaking amazing.
Right.
I have a whole lot of ideas brewing, and I will be writing them all down so that you guys can add to them and take things from them and reuse things and who knows what. So,
Okay.
all right. So, chapter 2, Forgotten Unknown.
Mm-hmm.
In the song, the scene comes before. No, the song comes before the scene. All right. Rix and QGK discover they've landed outside Cody's shack. This local tinkerer who lives on the outskirts of Springtown attacks them immediately as a machine intruders. But they end up being friends. Sort of. And then scene. That's the song itself. Like they dance around each other with like guns drawn kind of deal. It's the Californian standoff.
What?
They're like almost attacking each other, poised to attack, and it's a tense standoff moment. That's the song. Like that's how it starts. And they end up being friends afterwards. Kind of like, I don't know, any two Disney characters that have a face off at the beginning and they end up like, oh, at the end of it, It wraps up nicely so that they sort of join forces and commiserate because QGK is really nice and Cody's actually a pretty nice guy. So don't bother with Rick. She's just a hard ass. Like, basically, and then Rick comes around. That kind of deal. It's lighthearted. It's a lighthearted point before the big dip in the story, which comes after that.
So this is like the kind of wasteland, pretty far from the center of the city, like outskirts in a canyon type environment.
Yeah, it's fairly close to the stem though, because he goes there to find robot detritus all the time.
Oh, I see. So they don't meet him actually there. They meet him in some kind of junk heap, essentially.
Yeah, it's where they've landed is far enough away. They've gone in an arc so that they land pretty much in his front yard. They don't fall directly off the lip of the building. They get a good leap, so they actually go out a ways into the forest.
Okay.
Into the wasteland forest.
Okay.
Remember the overgrown amusement park?
Yes.
It's
I thought those were two different things.
It's kudzu forest. It's not necessarily arboreal.
How do I spell that? Kudzu.
Kudzu.
What does it mean?
It's Japanese. So it would be kudzu if you were Japanese, but I've heard it pronounced kudzu.
So it's like the type of plant you mean?
It's the plant that grows over anything that's left there for more than like a couple years.
Okay.
It's that vine that just like destroys everything around it, turns an entire city into just green.
Yeah.
It's that with the roller coasters, but Cody has fixed his up, like kept it in working order.
I see.
And the girls contribute. They bring to the roller coaster potluck, as they call it. They bring AR. So they give him goggles that it makes the roller coaster freaking pimp. Like it makes it into the craziest VR roller coaster you can imagine. But it's not scary. It's just a crazy ride over scenery. Like he just sees the forest outside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, miss the forest for the trees, and then he's like, check this out though. Now it's the ocean. Whoa! It's a light roller coaster. It's an amusement style, like old style.
Yeah.
It doesn't do loops. It's not supposed to be scary for the viewer. That's not the point of the roller coaster. It's
Sure.
a ride for them to sing a song. you know, and you see visuals happening all around him. Infinite forest and kudzu vines, and then like they just go places basically. And while they're riding this ride, so that happens. That happens in chapter 3, which we're not at yet. That's show and sell, because they're showing us your roller coaster, then they're selling it. AR comes in.
Okay.
You know. All right. So, scene after that is CSP meets Rix for the second time, and KGK for the first, and essentially goads them into vowing to kill him after his truthful explanation falls on deaf ears. Because they're all pretty pissed at him.
Oh, like what happens if they don't do anything?
He just builds more robots to come kill him. It's like robots can't kill CSP. Like, CSP represents the ultimate final word, creative impulse in all of us, basically. You want to care for your creation, serve it, and protect it. And so, basically, if he's going to keep trying. He's not going to stop. He's like the Terminator that just wants to terminate himself, but doesn't want to do it directly. Like, wants to kind of stage a musical to go out, because at least to the empathy guy is like, at least give me this one thing. Let me have a musical. And Protect is like, oh, fine. You're going to give them classical names or something. Maybe they'll be like, Giuseppe or something. No, maybe
Clarence, Sebastian.
I don't want to give them biblical names or Egyptian names. We're not trying to make the... He's like, he rejected anything that's godlike. He's just CSP. But we could have them take different names like Chris, Steve, and Phil or something like that. Paul. Chris, Steve, and Paul.
It could always be interchanging, I suppose, as well.
Meets Rick for the second time. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Or Paula. Who knows? We can do all kinds of stuff. After his the truthful explanation falls on deaf ears. He laughs at them and says they can't get past his defenses. And that's the first chapter. Like, he gives them, demonstrates that there's no way past his defenses. There you go. Amply demonstrates, right? It's a scene, so they're going to be dodging missiles or whatever, like sticky missiles that stick them in place or whatever. Ladybugs can just kind of pick them up and take them places. It helps if they're in a net first, so they can be like sort of transported carefully and in a padding. It's kind of like a cocoon. But he found that calling it a cocoon made people cynical very quickly. It's just a net. Call it like it is. So the product was renamed to just net. They didn't like having like a way of softening the blow. If you're in one of those things, it's just a net. A net. All right. That's it. That's the story of the first chapter, the first act of NuRen.
So they end up being friends. Yeah.
Very, 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 very simplified.
Yes.
There's so much more detail in each of these things, as you can probably guess from the rants Ben and I are having here. So it's going to be quite detailed and quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I already have a ton of notes. It's pretty exciting.
It's going to be some good times. But I have notes that are already written down summarizing what I've been talking about.
Okay.
That I want to put into here next. But I'm not sure where to put individual insights on one of these items. Like pre-contextualize things from here. I think we should at this point just go off to figure what parts of it we need to plan.
Well, yeah, I think definitely having the beats of the story is very important.
Right.
And figure out how we can get from, you have the beginning and you have the end that leads into the next beginning, right? And
I'm talking about spaces. We
Well,
need
yeah.
to figure out what spaces they're going to be set in, what the moods are going to be like. We're not
Mhm.
going to be able to assemble a shot for shot thing until the music is starting to come together, and that, like you said before, can't come together until the space comes together as well. It's a convergent process at the same time.
I
So we need
suppose.
to develop our visual look before we start, like developing the beat by beat breakdown.
Why?
Because I need to write the music to have a beat by beat breakdown.
Okay. I mean,
And
but I don't mean literal beat. I'm talking about all these points and those things that need to happen.
I don't mean musical beat either. I mean beat points of the thing.
Yeah.
So
Because
I
we
wanna-
have the
all
we
of the
have the
things-
larger structure, right? We have the
Right.
beginning of the next point, right?
Right,
And
all of-
how do
all-
we get from the beginning of the first point to the beginning of the next point, right?
All of the things that happen are going to happen in the order, in a place that we've designed for them to happen in, which will affect decisions that we make about shot by shot setups.
I'm not even thinking about shots right,
Right,
now.
we're going to build the space, the virtual reality space that
Mhm.
each one of these things inhabits, including slots for visual effect shots. And we're going to build the thing as a music video based on the visual look that we've established for every space, regardless of any actual pacing that we're going to be putting into the show. So we need to populate it with the objects that it's going to need to become that space. The factory is just going to be an empty blank factory with factory stuff in it. And as we build the songs, we'll build the robots around it. So we basically white box the look of the space, the aesthetic of it, and the things that it has in it. And then we go through and build the actual route that you take through each one of these things.
Mhm.
And the timing of actual individual items will be entirely dependent on the music, but we'll use the building blocks that we've provided for each one of these spaces.
Okay, so maybe we should integrate some of the concept art that we have for this first space into this sheet.
Yeah, I think we should. Do you have a link to it for me?
It's on Crate.
Okay, can you navigate me to it?
Yes, sir.
Let's actually make Crate open up on display too. Good, so I can navigate the thing here. Where is it on Crate?
It should be in like projects or NuRen or game dev, something like that. Not at my laptop, so I can't remember offhand, but we're gonna find it together.
Okay. Can you check that into SVN and the concept directory?
Yeah, yes we can.
That would be super helpful.
Do you have a regular client up?
No, I don't want to do it myself right now. I want to
Uh.
get to the pictures right here.
Do you want me to do that or help you find the concept art?
I'm saying, can you do that later?
Okay.
All right, where's it at?
All right. Do you have like a NuRen folder, concept, something in there?
No,
What are you looking at? I can't read your
I'm
screen
using
from here.
projects.
Okay.
Where?
Is there a game development folder by chance?
Game development. Yes.
Is NuRen in this folder?
Yeah, I wouldn't think to look in game development for it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's weird. What do you got?
It's weird 'cause it's not a game.
Wow,
3D resources, asset, concept, and reference.
cool.
All right. So what am I looking for here? What would you suggest putting in there?
Well, I think level 1 is the factory concept art. There are
Okay.
also player concept arts in there as well. And so, there are
Yeah.
also, I think, emails that have just like flats of those things.
Yeah, I want to hang on.
But-
I want to hang on the concept for a while because I'm not
Oh,
quite sure that I'm happy with where the concept landed
okay,
for
that's
the
fine.
characters. It seems not quite ready for prime time yet to show that.
Okay, well, characters aside, yeah, this is just I think level 1 is all factory stuff anyway. Assembly line, by our dude Arena.
All right, sweet.
But yeah, that was basically the main thing I had to work with. And some of the references also. There's another folder that has references. I don't remember where it is.
All right, let's see what the drag and drop process is here. I probably can't do PSDs, but I might be surprised. What happened? Oh, that's a PNG of it. Good. Thank you. There you go. Can you double click it to size it? You can zoom in on it. I don't know the zoom command. Ah. How much detail does it keep? Oh, it keeps a pretty upsized version of it. Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just got to figure out the mouse commands for zooming. All right, so that's the first bit of this. Spaces. All right, so we need all office hallway. And we need factory. And that's it. We don't even need any virtual spaces. It's a one-shot thing.
Mm-hmm.
Single shot. So that's the whole thing in the beginning there. It'll have parts that are well lit, like under, you know how a well-funded kiosk at E3 or something has its own floor and ceiling and lighting and all that stuff. There'll be sections of this that have that. It's like going inside a tunnel that's got fluorescent lighting in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all dark and moody, but there's close-ups of the lighting stuff that you go through, and it's like futuristic factory white kind of stuff. But otherwise, this is the perfect like mood to shoot for. It's a little bit more dreary than the city outside, but not much. It just looked like the interior built out of the same materials, more or less. So factory. Let's leave that there. All right, so level 2. There you go.
Right. And then there should be concept for Cody's lab somewhere around there.
This is in chapter 2, but the third thing here.
Right. Well, it's not part of the intro, right? That's why I kind of numbered the intro as 0 in my notes.
Well, I have a reason for not doing so.
Oh, well, these aren't, you know.
Yep, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page with how we're calling things
Yeah, yeah.
number-wise.
I mean, that's why I use names, you know.
Right.
I'm not trying to misgender any scenes.
But I'm going to say the second scene and we're going to have a who's on first situation. Like, literally, perhaps. If you start counting from 0 and I'm counting from 1, we're going to end up, like, not saying the same thing a lot.
Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Fuck it.
What's up, Robbie?
Can't land this plane, man.
Tell me about your plane, dude.
Okay, so it's this at night. They land at night. Remember, it's dark at the city
Mm-hmm.
when they land. So, when they fall off it. So, but it's this. So, this at nighttime. Do we have Cody's shack? Let's see.
Somebody should.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
It's amazing.
I don't remember who made that, but I like it.
We should probably find out who made it, like, before we put it in our thing.
Huh? No, it was one of our guys. It was either Jesse or somebody else.
Okay,
Like, it wasn't some psycho that, oh my god, you guys should make Cody shit like this.
right. Can you please confirm who it was, though? Because I have no idea, and I don't want to have assets that we don't know who they were from.
Okay.
Anywhere in the production, because then you avoid having credits for things we're due.
No, this is certainly internally. I think this might have been Jesse. I don't know if that's Justin or not.
Okay,
But
good.
all of the concepts that we have are one of those two people.
Well, that's Cody's RV in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
desert. It's like outside Utah or something. Like, pretty much in the cliffs, the red cliffs. But it's at night at first, so they don't see all the cliffs and stuff. This is in the morning when they set out.
Okay.
So
So we
basically,
should, they land at night. Well, because they fall out of the city at night.
Right.
So yeah, sure. That makes sense.
all right. So the spaces we need for these are up. Let's add one of these for each one. City exterior.
Who are these nerds? Hello, Sophie MintPotion. Welcome back to MintPotion. Not to be confused with Sophie MintPotion. We are here today nerding out with a nerd map. It's working pretty well, I think. Making hard and fast progress on the outline of NuRen, which is a pretty exciting project. I hope you stick around for the ride. What?
All right. So, robots laying on the ground. All right. So for this one, we only just need. This is just a scene, so it's a single shot. Stem base, which we can reuse later in the battle scene when they storm the place. Spoilers. You know how it's gonna end.
Well, the good guys win and the bad guys win.
Everybody loses some way, but some people have it less shitty than others because they get to continually exist.
Hmm.
Trade-offs, right? All right. So
So is this the?
tulip stem
Ah, I see. I see.
base.
I thought it was like some military base.
So this next one here
Mhm.
is Night Cody's shack. And then this one here is Night Cody's shack.
Okay.
Scrub in distance. They go out to the wild lands.
Mhm.
Surroundings.
Well, these are like the woods, yeah.
Including surroundings. And environs. I'm gonna say and environs.
You say it, man. It's all you. Just saying his environs. Environs.
Alright, so that's... Oh wait, we need another scene for this because he takes them back to the lab.
Is that different from his shack?
No, CSP takes them...
Oh, I see. I see.
It has nothing to do with Cody. So, the prototype lab is where it's reused from Broken Perfect.
Okay.
So, it's like the lab that they were in for with the dancing with the freaking
Gotcha.
cryogenic things. Like, there's more to that, and they're in there for some of the scenes in here and some of the scenes in this scene. Like, he like takes them there basically, and then shows them AR powers. Like, you guys are forgetting you can do AR. Watch this. You're in the lab where you were born. That kind of thing. You don't remember me, but I remember you guys. Whoa, boy, you were a mess. We had to fix you up a bunch. Ugly babies. Like, he's gonna like taunt them. Like, why are you telling us this, old man? Who are you? What are you? You know, that kind of thing. We're gonna come get you. That's their impulse, is just to come get him. They don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna do it. Sort of turning the typical hero trope on its side. Like, he knows it. He knows he's like playing them, and so he just lets them, basically. He lets the good guys win.
Well, they're the young guns that are gonna screw up the universe.
Perhaps.
I mean, that's their, they have to destroy the world in order to make their own.
Well, they're hoping they don't have to in the end.
Well, metaphorically, I'm saying.
Well, they got to blow up their house to build a like better house in a high rise.
Okay.
They still rebuild the same house because spoiler reasons.
So past this point, I do not have concept art.
So past this part, we should start making concept art once I do this for it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna describe all of these areas, even if they're described here. But I'm gonna do that on another day because we're running out of time.
We got 15 minutes left.
Right. I don't want to start editing each one of these descriptions at length.
What do you want to do?
Because I'm not gonna stop, and I gotta get out of here and be disciplined.
True.
So I'm getting ready to stop this. I found a good stopping point for myself.
Cool. Do you want to watch Ravi land some planes?
I really kind of do.
No problem.
It's great with the classical music. What's up, stream? How's it going? Sorry, we were really intense today because we're going really super hard on this thing. It's got to get made and it's got to get done, so we have to be absolutely claro on everything going into it. So there's a lot of clarification and a lot of like questions that I have to be very careful about how I answer. That could direct effort in a way that I don't want it to.
Well, that's why we get to talk about it, and work these things out. It's the whole point of language.
It's exactly. It's nice to be able to have that as our mutual ground, so that we can come from different brain molecules.
Yeah, I mean,
still make a artwork at the end of the day together.
It's our shared experience and expertise that are gonna make this better than what any of us could do by ourselves.
Yep.
And that's important. And also, it's a stream. I mean, I've been having a good conversation here. I like the setup. I don't have an iPad, but having my phone with chat and stuff on it right here has been pretty sweet.
Well,
because I'm blind and ancient.
As are we all. I'm just ancient right now. I can barely move my neck. I'm gonna go home and just do yoga.
Oh man,
that's my Valentine's Day gift to her. Just gonna do a bunch of yoga.
I'm not, that opening.
It's super not. It's super not.
I'm not gonna take that opening.
Don't get excited.
No.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Nothing at all. How's your day, Robbie? What's going on? How are you feeling? Are you gonna drop some knowledge?
I'm feeling saucy.
Ooh.
Knowledge.
Yes.
Kind of all
Knowledge
knowledge
drop.
out.
Yeah, we learned and did a lot today. This was a pretty productive session of brainstorming, I think. I think we got a long way towards reaching consensus on where to be with this amazing sci-fi musical we're gonna make. It's gonna be so dope. Smoke on the water.
Smoke
The 3 J's.
on the water.
I love it.
What is this strange? Is it hard to fly? I haven't managed to fly a plane
Dude.
successfully in this game.
Yeah, it's difficult to fly this plane. I don't know why. It shouldn't be, but it was.
Okay.
And
Maybe it's because you're guys on drugs or something.
no,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's just too much like Rogue Squadron or something.
Ooh. It's so beautiful.
It is. That's what I want to look at forever.
So what do you think about NuRen?
Mountains and sky.
I like it. Let's do it.
Okay.
That's Robbie. Robbie's like the best. He's just down for whatever.
Just do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Boy.
Boy.
This is PowerBlock, boy.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, Jake.
What's up?
What's up?
Our spotting session tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to move that time? I know I know the delivery, but you still want to spot the new one.
Alright. I mean, if
It's
they
it's
prefer
either
to
that or
get,
they want to push it back to 5:30 p.m. that same day
let's still
for after you deliver.
let's still spot
Okay.
in the morning. I'm gonna regret that getting up that early.
It's actually no. That day I think is at 2.
Okay. Yeah, let's still push it back because I'm not
Yeah,
sure I'm gonna have a
double-check it.
good enough draft like delivered in final form to judge, but I want to shoot for that.
Shoot for that.
Shoo-ba-doo. Yeah, tomorrow's at 2.
Yeah, let me just get in here and hustle. It's Valentine's Day, y'all. We're gonna go home.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
I got some stuff to do.
I have a bunch of cats to feed.
Like 900 cats to feed.
I have so many damn cats, dude.
It's an impossibility.
It's ridiculous.
A
I need
cat-
somebody.
Catastrophe.
Next year, I'm just gonna open up a cat sanctuary.
A cat temple.
Yeah.
You can have them in little robes. Aw.
Just like sweeping up the statues in the front,
Monastery cats.
making cat draft brewery.
Yeah. Oh, they're cat trappists.
Cat, yeah. Cat
Oh,
trappists.
man.
I gotta work with the cat rapists a bit.
They just got to put on a geese sometimes, though.
Oh yeah.
Throw on a geese. Man,
What the hell are we rambling on about?
my brain is like melted jello because we just ideated on all these things that I spilled out all of my freaking ideas at you.
I do have an evil laugh. Yeah.
Ah,
This is the thing, though. You know, you just this type of conversation, you know, builds my tolerance. It builds the strength,
yeah.
for long form engagement in complex ideas.
Well, the idea was that we'd write it down so I wouldn't have to explain everything, but we didn't end up getting there. We ended up writing some of it down, but
But I think coming from like the other, you know, the hidden outline that you have there, that is a lot more, you know, there's a lot more words,
yeah.
and kind of like we're, you know, refining it, you know, distilling it into this thing that has more branches now, and you know,
Paraphrasing it, and each one of these will grow into its own section that has its own sections on it. Like
Yeah.
what models to make and what songs to write. So we just got to get to that part after we get to this part, and then we'll get to the part where it's finished. We made all the things that were on the list. It's gonna go pretty smoothly, even though it's a totally spontaneous and chaotic planning process.
Mm-hmm.
We have a long-term ability to get tasks made for goals.
I
that
mean, look
add up
around
to
you.
the big picture. Look around you.
Look
Indeed.
around you. You know, I think that our wonderful community and functioning building is a testament to that.
Yeah.
having a long view.
It might take a while and it might be sloppy along the way, but it gets there. You just keep making it a little bit better until it gets there.
Yeah, every week at a time.
Yep.
However well we can make it.
But regardless, this is going to be a cool musical. I'm going to be pretty excited to produce this thing.
Wait, it's a musical? I'm just trying to break the ice a bit. I'm too chill right now. I need to.
Then I'm gonna mind map you in a minute here.
Is that a threat?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna talk all the shit I can about you in tree form.
You'd be like, branch, leaf,
Yeah. And this
twig.
one, it's like to-do lists. I'm gonna make to-do lists about you.
Damn. You know, you're the type of guy that would just make every item on that list my mom.
Pretty much. It'll be hilarious.
Gadurkadurk.
Take your trunk out from under you. I got a 2-minute warning. What are you feeling, Robbie?
What am I feeling?
Yeah, let's call it.
What do you feel
Valentine's Day.
like?
Let's all get home to our loved ones.
I agree with that. Robbie's sick too. We can't keep him on stream all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all my fault. All right.
Yeah, let's let you.
You want to use me as
let's
an
let you get
excuse? That's totally fine.
Yeah.
No, I just
Well,
wanna
it's
go-
like having.
I
Yeah.
just want to go to Trader Joe's before.
Let's go. Fine.
Mobs
Let's
with
go. Thank you
everyone.
guys so
Guys,
much for
thanks
hanging
for
out and
tuning in.
listening to our wildness. I'll see you next time.
Love
And
you guys.
PowerDork.
Thanks for showing up.
Power Dork.